Yo, we're back, we're back, we're back, we're back, we're back. No, I can't leave the comments on because not everybody's focused and I need to focus on what our elder is saying. And also, I don't need comments running up over his head. Shadow Bunny. Minano.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Can
you,
you
but
hear
I
me?
can't see you.
Can you see me now?
Try and bring somebody else. We're waiting for the doctor.
Brother
Yo,
Shaka, how are you,
Wag,
brother?
how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of uh, colonialism and in terms of religion, what we were before, um, what was our religion, prior to slavery and stuff like that? And
It
I
was
mean, like I'm from. Say it again.
scientific spirituality. There was no one religion. The only one religion that we had was the relationship between the people, planet, the environment, and God. There's a few books you can read.
Mm-hmm.
Make a mental note, or how you gonna do it?
I got one.
Okay. African origins of major Western religions
Okay.
by Ben Yochanan.
Of major
Western religions.
Western religions. Okay.
There's also a book called Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man
Okay.
by Albert Churchward.
Okay.
There's also a book called Of Water and the Spirit by Malidoma Patrice
Patrice.
Some Some.
Some.
And the last book that you can read is a book called Philosophy Podium.
Philosophy Podium.
Yeah, a Dogon perspective.
Dogon perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. I'm gonna bring the doctor back, but respect for your time.
Blessings. Appreciate you, brother.
I agree. Aris is here. I saw him. I'm breaking the fast. Yeah, because 12 o'clock here. Where is he? There he is. Yes, I.
Yes, sir.
So you were saying the Black Power movement, you was changing the way that you were eating, you were being more self-sufficient. It was about knowing yourself.
Yeah, so you know, it was about taking ownership and responsibility of my life, you know, on all levels. So it's like a light went off or went on, you know, and for me, I just felt that it was just only one level I can access to take ownership of everything in my life, and that was just to basically just be my own God. You know, just God thyself. Because I mean, you know, it's like I'm with this person every day, 24/7, and there's no way that this person is going to fool me if I'm on top of it, if I'm guarding it, guarding I, you know. And that really just was a major shift, because being a part of, you know, the independent black school system at that time, you know, there was a lot of consciousness and spirituality, you know, education going on within the community. I remember even taking a class, you know, called the Science of the Mind, you know, and really getting deep into it. And even within those classes, within that educational period, you know, we were able to do things like, you know, mental fasting, you know, which was very, very profound. You know, basically just fasting away from negativity, you know, not to entertain negativity, you know, which for most of us, it's a more intense, challenging fast than a water fast, because we really come face to face with how negative, you know, the world is, how negative we are individually, personally, you know, and our surroundings, the people that we surround ourselves with, you know. So you get to be in a position where you observe and you see and you work with these things. But the 7-day mental fast basically just involved not entertaining any negative thoughts for 7 consecutive days, period. You know, which is quite a stretch. It's a big job for most of us, you know. So but what I came to realize, though, that the real power came in shutting down the mind. It's actually to stop thinking, you know, because the Western mind is really what leads us to the laziness of trying to shut out negativity and only, you know, think positive, think positive, think positive. You know, ideally, you know, once we come to the point of realization that our mind could possibly be our greatest enemy, because it's been programmed, you know, since we can clearly observe that we cannot think of anything we do not know. And what we know, especially growing up in these Western structures, has been programmed into us, whether it's through the school, the government, or even through our home, through our parents, because they were programmed as well. So to be able to just like really just cut the programming out and empty all of that program, clear the hard drive, clear the brain, you know, basically not necessarily putting yourself in a position of the whole Western concept of thinking positive, vision board, and all of these things. Because really, any extreme you take, the opposite is waiting for you, the opposite extreme. You know, whatever brings pleasure today is going to bring pain and sorrow tomorrow. So if you don't want to experience the pain and sorrow tomorrow, be careful about getting too involved and too indulging in the joy, in the pleasure, in the gusto. So it's to just accept life as it is. I am that I am that I am. Because once you start interpreting, you start judging, and you basically limit yourself, period, by labeling. Say, oh, this is positive. Oh, this is beautiful. Ah, this is great. That's fine. It will help you break the addiction of negativity, but ultimately is to not interpret, not to judge, just shut it down. Shut it down, especially if you know that your judgment is based on a programming that is alien to you. That is alien to you. So a lot of us, even in the community, back then, we would say, oh, no, a lot of this stuff is just trickology. So whatever they tell you to do the opposite. You know, whatever they tell you to do the opposite, and you're on the right side of life. So even where I'm sitting right now, I'm sitting in my bedroom. I'm sitting in my peace chamber. And this is my bed. You know, I'm on, you know, my back is on my bed here. And this is the foot of my bed right here. Down there is the head of my bed. And if I show you a view from the side, down there is 6 inches lower than up here. My feet 6 inches above my head. So I sleep on a slant. But this culture has programmed us to sleep with pillows on your head and your head higher than your feet, propping yourself up. But ideally, sleeping on a slant with your head 6 inches lower than your feet, the blood, the circulation, the oxygen that's going to be coming back up to the brain zone while you're resting is quite a power move. It's a power position because you're going to realize that you actually even need less sleep. Sleeping, you recharge the system, you know. Right. So to get, like, if you really want a serious power nap, you need a power nap during the middle of the day or at some point. Slant your bed, take an hour, and it could be equivalent of having slept for 4 hours. You know, but then this is part of, you know, the way we've been programmed to kind of reverse it. So, you know, so this is the way we have fun with the whole trickology psychology back then. It's like, well, whatever they show you to do, just do the opposite. And you know you're probably much better off. But this is scientific, though, sleeping this way, because we actually live too upright. You know, we're constantly up. So a lot, especially if you're eating bad food, starches settle down. Starches settle down. On, you know, a series of videos that I made on YouTube, it's on Facebook and YouTube a few years back, where I juiced like something like 12 different root vegetables: onion, garlic, turmeric, potatoes, yam, cassava, and let them set for about 3 hours in a glass, and you see how the starch settles at the bottom. And you see the ones that did not have a drip of water. The tropical yams, the cassava, the yucca, not one drip of water, no juice come out of that. It's just pure starch. So when you're living upright and you're eating a lot of these foods, the starch is settling down in your lower extremities, whether it's your toes or your fingertips, where they begin to settle first. And then your wrists and your ankles. When the toes and the fingers get full of starch, dried out potatoes, the wrists and the ankles. Then your elbows and your knees get filled next. Then your shoulder and your hips. So this is why once you get to certain ages, like, oh, arthritis, oh, this, and granny's like, oh, I can't raise my arm, oh, somebody help me put my blouse over my head, I can't get it up, and all of this stuff. You start, and then fat, the fat and protein, it settles up, it floats up, fat floats up. So that's why as a bodybuilder is going to eat a lot of protein to build that upper body structure. So, but the most dangerous thing is the starch settling down. That's why many people have problems with their feet. So these are some of the things that I've observed from making the switch and seeing the total difference of when I was eating a lot of cooked rice and macaroni and all of this stuff. The issues that I had as a runner, you know, and then I start realizing these are the things they call arthritis, hardening of the arteries. With what? Starch, starch. So you really get in touch with your body. You get to know the body that you live in when you live on this level. And these are the things that came to light to me in my early days, where it's like, oh, this totally makes sense. Because I had no mentor immediately, you know, no guy. I was just reading books, exploring and searching, and apply what I find out. And then I see, oh, this is real. You know, I'm not eating any more starches, and I don't have athlete's foot anymore because I'm not eating starch. You know, it's the fungus, it's the yeast from the starch that didn't digest, didn't break down, ferment, and that yeast is what's coming out, breaking out through your toes. You know, and the same thing. I stopped eating fish, and I realized, wow, I don't need to use deodorants anymore. I don't have that kind of body odor anymore. So you really get to know the body you live in. You get to be in touch. So ultimately, for me, it really brought me close up with my relationship with food. So that's what it's really all about. You need to regulate your relationship with food, take charge, take ownership, and the plants are going to really get you on that track much quicker, much smoother. So otherwise, a lot of us, we end up trying to sustain, you know, the negative stuff that we're putting into our body by, say, working out, you know, and taking colonics and trying to manage it this way so we can put another load in. So a lot of people, you see them out there running and you know they're not in good shape, but they're just running to create space for the next bad load to come in. And they run, get off the track, get to their house, and they sit down to that big load of food, and they back right where they started before they went out to run. So they got to get up painfully again the next day and go rolling down the street, say they running, trying to work out. You know, but, you know, bless them. It's a good start. It's a good intention, but you got to control the gut, you know, and you got to know how food works in the body. You got to know the foods you have to avoid, you know, the foods that you really got to, like, really put on top of your list.
So you're saying you can't out-train a bad diet?
No, all you're going to do is train yourself to make room to put the next bad load in. That's it. And that's a lot of the principle that even modern medical science is based on. They will give you a temporary relief and help you to create more space. It's like, hey, we'll do a bypass surgery and cut that part out, patch it back together, and you can go back and put the next load back in. You know, it's just like temporary convenience, you know, so you can continue on the path of self-destruction. You know, so yeah, you can't work it out just like that. You know, you can manage it, but as age catches up with you, you know, it's going to be so much more you can do if you're still putting in the same load. You got to watch the load. That's the beginning. But a lot of these foods that are creating that energy with us, the loads on those types of food, those foods are very addictive, especially starches. Cooked starches are one of the most intense drug addiction that you have to battle. And I tell you, I think the most wickedest one is the potato, especially when it's fried. You know, that's usually like the last piece of something that most ones with good intention would hold on to, you know, and then the advertiser would put you in the spot, just like the insurance company, and they'll say, oh, look, I bet you can't just eat one. And you bet them, I could just eat one. I'm just going to have this one right now, and that's it. But you back in the addiction zone again. You eat the whole bag, thinking you was just going to eat one. It's a very addictive kind of food. So watch your starches. That is the most dangerous group of foods, period. Complex carbohydrates. Grains, deep roots, and beans. And that's what most of us eat more of than anything else. Grains, deep roots, and beans, rice and beans, with a big bowl of oats, you know, for dessert.
So I've always eaten a lot of hummus. What would you say would be a good replacement for that? Avocado or like some other vegetable with a tahini?
What you said, pumpkin?
No, I'm saying avocado or like some other vegetable that you'd mix with the tahini. What could be like hummus?
Oh, you say you've eaten a lot of hummus. I thought you said pumpkin. Okay. Well, hummus, look, you can actually make hummus without cooking the chickpeas. We sprout it. Soak it for 12 hours, sprout it for 3 or 4 days, let it grow out, and it does not need to be cooked. You can take that same raw sprouted hummus, drop it in your blender with your raw tahini, your lemon juice, and all your favorite hummus seasoning. You just got to make your own. Commercial hummus is a killer. You know, most of it is made from canned beans, period. You know, and then trying to make your own cooked hummus at home, it's a step in the right direction, but you don't have to cook it. And this is where, you know, this whole science comes in, that we need to know more about the nature of the foods that we're eating and building that relationship with them. You know, sprouting, if you're going to deal with any beans and any grains, period, they all need to be soaked and sprouted. They become pre-digested. So the starch start being broken down into simple carbohydrates, into simple sugar. So even the wheat is the classical example. That wheat berry that they pulverize and make flour, it'll clog you up. It's gluten. They call it gluten. But you could take that wheat berry, soak it, sprout it, and now you've changed the character. You've changed the energy of it because you're putting the water in it. When you're boiling the chickpeas to make your cooked hummus, you're basically just pumping it with water. And it's the same thing you do when you sprout the chickpeas. You're pumping it with water. But you're not in a rush. You're not in a hurry. You're not trying to boil it and get it done now. You have 3-4 days to work with it. Water it every day, give it a bath, rinse it off, and every time you do that, it's soaking up water and it's just growing. So it comes from being a dense magnetic food. Now you turn it into, and you know, bring it to more of an electromagnetic level by adding the electrical charge, which is the water, the liquid. But we try to do that with this outdated technology of cooking, putting it in a pot with water and boil it and pump it up with water. No, there's other ways you could do it. So you got to slow down and work with nature in its real sense of the way. You know, fire kills. So we'll kill the chickpeas, and ultimately, you know, you reap as you sow. That chickpea is going to kick your butt.
Okay, so I was saying to people that we should write a recipe book, because there's a lot of people who are kind of at the start of their journey, and I know if we do a recipe book, it will make millions of dollars, because lots of people want to return to original eating so that they can have health. People are realizing in this time the importance of health. They say that in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I would say that in the kingdom of the sick, the healthy people are king and queen. And one thing I was thinking about that's really interesting is we're just about to complete our school in Ghana, which is a Pan-African technology school for 250 children. About 30 of the kids don't have parents. And bringing you in to work out what those school meals look like, I figure we get these kids from the age of 2 all the way till they high school to 18, and we put them on a live food nutritional plan. African technology school. I think these kids will be able to become the most intelligent kids in the world.
Absolutely, no question. No, I've seen it time and time again. You know, yeah, we really do our children a disservice by filling their gut with cornmeal porridge and sending them off to school in the morning. Mm-mm. Now you got the brain that needs the oxygen in the morning for them to learn, competing with the stomach where all the blood, well, not all the blood, but a great deal of the blood is centered in the stomach trying to digest this bowl of cornmeal porridge. So the brain is not getting its oxygen. That's it, brother. Yes.
So, sorry to cut you, would you say that that cornmeal porridge, that heavy kind of diet, is to do with slavery and colonialism and filling your belly before you go work out in the field? How do we start eating like that? Because it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's hard for me to pinpoint when we started eating like that, but I know for a fact that human beings have, did not eat grains prior to 10,000 years ago. Grains have been something that was never a part of human dietary consumption prior to 10,000 years ago. Rice, we are not rice eaters by nature. We're not corn eaters by nature. It's only been 10,000 years we've been experimenting with it. And we got to wake up and realize that the experiment has failed. But the challenge is the bankers, the 1%, or whatever you want to call them, the food cartel has taken hold of our food basket. And for them, it's profit and greed. And for them to create an entire meal called a breakfast centered around cereals, that's a criminal act. They need to be brought to justice for that. You do not break a fast in the morning. Breakfast is it's not even supposed to be a meal. You're supposed to be breaking the fast. And breaking the fast, you're just putting foods in the body that's going to clear out the waste that was released while you were fasting at night. So to wake up in the morning and give your child a bowl of cornmeal porridge.
1 hour, please.
It short circuits the whole elimination process, or, you know, forwarding of the waste that was released the night before during the fast. You're supposed to be breaking the fast in the morning, and the body is focused on elimination. You want fiber and liquids. You want electrical energy, not magnetic energy. Grains, rice, beans, corn, these are magnetic building energy. The last thing the body needs in the morning is some building food. The last thing the body needs in the morning is to trigger a heavy digestive process. Because you have more energy in the morning than at any other time of the day. And your brain has more blood, more circulation, more oxygen on it at that time of the day. You know, and the sugar that your brain feeds off of is more readily available at that time of the morning. When you're going to put cornmeal porridge in your baby's gut to send them to school, it's going to take a good 3 to 4 hours for that cornmeal to be digested, to be broken down from a complex carbohydrate to a simple carbohydrate, and be available as sugar for that child to be able to utilize. And that's why they get to school and they're not learning, they're not paying attention, possibly, but because they're off basically trying to burn that energy and turn that starch into sugar, then they call them hyperactive or something and put them on a whole different level and stunt their whole growth in life, period. That's part of the beginning. So to have them from the age of 2 and feed them this type of nutrients, that's a true head start. That's a true head start. You know, what they call a head start today is a head dummy. They're dumbing your head. Put your child in them little head start institutions where they feed them this killer food. No. Yeah, it starts to kill the brain power. And this is what's going on even with what's happening today with this situation that the world is on panic all about. It is all about dumbed down